is Morgan Showen, a student at the University of Michigan.
Go Schmorgs!
Hello, Ann Arbor.
Hello.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Morgan Showen, and I am a freshman at the University of Michigan. And I just want to thank all of the organizers, speakers, and most importantly, you, the marchers, who have gathered here today to help end gun violence in America. Thank you. Now, before we even arrived here today, the political pundits and the majority of our elected officials have already written off this march and the movement behind it. And they have historical precedent to do so. In 2012, after the deaths of 20 elementary school children and 7 educators, Americans believed that now, finally, something would have to change. By now, you know the story of what happened afterwards. The politicians gave their condolences, the media rushed in with cameras and crews, prayers were sent, and empty promises were made. Within a couple of weeks, yet another gun violence tragedy had faded into that part of American history that is only spoken about in solemn whispers. The cycle of gun violence has continued on like this for decades, until today. I think the biggest question that has come about concerning this movement is simply, why now? Why was the shooting in Parkland any different from those in Newtown, Aurora, Charleston, San Bernardino, Orlando, Sutherland Springs, Las Vegas, or any of the other senseless tragedies? Why is the media simply not just moved on to the next flashy story? Why haven't politicians just said their meaningless thoughts and prayers and called it a day? This time is different because an entire generation of young Americans have called BS on a cycle of violence yet don't have to stop. We've called BS on an idea that so many other industrialized nations on Earth can protect their students, but America somehow cannot. Emma Gonzalez has made these 2 letters a rallying cry for an entire generation that is sick of wondering if their school or community is next in the cycle of gun violence. I have a younger sister back home in Ohio who's finishing her sophomore year in high school. She's a top-notch student and a pianist, and someone who has her entire life ahead of her. Not unlike those 14 students who walked into Stoneman Douglas High School last month and lost it all. Anyone who has a sibling or child in school can understand the fear that each day their classrooms might be turned into a war zone. It is this possibility of losing a classmate or a sibling that my generation has become so accustomed to. And it is the exact reason why we are going to succeed in ending gun violence in America. We're going to use that sense of foreboding dread and despair we all share for the good of this nation so our children never have to feel the way we do.
Yeah, Morgan!
The students of Parkland have created an entire generation of passionate, politically aware voters. We are not afraid to state the facts of gun violence and the remedies that have been successfully implemented around the world. And we most certainly do not bow to the politicians in Lansing or Washington who refuse to protect their citizens because their NRA friends told them to do so. My generation is different because we have an unspoiled sense of what is possible. And why shouldn't we? With a few tweets and some lobbying, the survivors of Parkland were able to convince multinational corporations like Dick's and Walmart to refuse gun sales to anyone under the age of 21. They persuaded the NRA-backed Florida state legislature to pass gun control legislation. And they convinced thousands upon thousands of their fellow Americans to walk out of their schools and march today. We are winning this fight! I now speak directly to all of the politicians who have fought against common sense gun control legislation. Fix your priorities, protect your constituents, choose America's children over your donors, or start planning for an early retirement. To Dana Lash, the NRA, and all of their lackeys, Your time of being the only voice in the gun control debate is over. Your monopoly on our elected officials is broken. To those who discredit this movement and its student leaders for being too young and too naive, you better get out of our way because we don't give a damn what you think. And to the students of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, your generation and the rest of America are behind you. We support you, and we will change America with you. Thank you, Ann Arbor.